What is good with y'all boys? Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to discuss how the world seems to be more and more increasingly anti-body game as the days continue to progress, right? Something that I'm gonna always go back to, and using this as an example, is the time that I spent in bitch-ass corporate, right? One of the things that I could say was radicalizing for me was my experience there, right? Now, as an individual, me personally, it don't take me too long to put two and two together, right? And while being in corporate and finally understanding and realizing that there are people out here that will actively try to get in your way and make your life difficult simply off of the fact that you decide to watch your health and are in better shape than them, had me in a state that I don't even think there's a word for, right? It was beyond enraged, right? Because I realized at that moment that one, you're going to have this experience no matter where you go in corporate, right? Because the majority of individuals in corporate are fat as shit. None of them people are on body game, right? Like I said before, it was only me and one other dude, a Mexican dude, that was in there that was on body game. Everybody else built like a torta, bare bellies in overtime, big ass stomachs slapping knees, walking around thinking that they higher than thou. But when you step in that joint on body game, all of their illusions are shattered because there's nothing that you can do to cope away a physique of an individual that's locked in and standing in front of you. So the next thing that I realized was that, one, obviously I'm not going to get off a body game in order to appease a bunch of lackluster individuals who can't control what goes into their stomach, right? So two things. I realized, one, trying to continue in corporate, you're going to be persecuted wherever you go just because you're on body game. You're locked in. The men there, majority of them are not locked in, right? If they got wives that also work there, their wives' eyes are wandering. A lot of dudes, a lot of managers there got their little work crush. They got their crush of the other chicks that be working there, right? They be fantasizing about them chicks. And when you walk in that joint on body game and them chicks start fantasizing about you, all hell's gonna start breaking loose. The passive aggressiveness stuff gonna begin, right? And corporate enables a lot of bitch ass niggatry, right? Because of the whole stipulations in corporate and mainly HR, you can't go and tell somebody exactly how you feel about their passive aggressive bullshit, right? Because the first thing they're gonna do is run straight off to HR, and then HR gonna come talking to you about some, oh, you're a bit intimidating, creating a hostile work environment. All them bullshit ass terms they love to use, hostile work environment, right? What I'd like to say is that you being hostile towards your body with all that goddamn bullshit calories that you're shoveling down on a daily basis, but that's for another story. So being in corporate made me realize that there's a lot of individuals in the world in general, right? Because these people exist outside of corporate as well, but they're not so enabled when they're outside the job because they hold no power outside of their job, right? They're just a regular fat ass nigga outside of the job with no power to their name. So I realized that, yes, being in corporate, you're always going to be persecuted being on body game. Two, I'm never going to get off a body game because I signed myself to a 360 deal to this shit for life, right? So in all knowing that, I started to look at things a little different. I started looking at people different. I started looking at situations different. And gradually, I started to look at my Facebook a little different, right? Now, as y'all know, if y'all saw that video that I did talking about chicks will be down bad for you and message you first when you're on body game, majority of the females, or the majority of people that I have on Facebook are females, right? A lot of my friends are females because, like I said, when I was going crazy on that 10% body fat shit, maybe 10, 11, 12% body fat shit, chicks was sending friend requests out the ass, right? Every day I woke up, there's a friend request from a new chick. I had space, so I added all of them, right? And now, almost a decade, or pretty much a decade later, some of them chicks have hit the wall. They hit the wall because they couldn't stop hitting the back of their wall in their mouth with food. Been shoveling down them calories over the years, and now some of them are built like some tortas, right? Because they are built like some tortas, a lot of them are liking stuff that is cope mechanisms, I'd say. Helps them cope better, helps them feel better, right? And because they like this stuff and they also share it, now I am able to see it. When I scroll on my Facebook some days, I really do feel like I'm looking into the psyche of variations of females, right? And yesterday was pretty much the breaking point because I came across an ad on my Facebook feed. And of course, it was shared by a Hispanic torta. Went to the profile. She had pretty much the exact same build, but a bit worse than the individual in the ad, right? And I'm going to go ahead and play the ad alongside as I talk, right? Because I don't feel like it's necessary to even dedicate a segment of my video to you watching this ad because it is of little to no importance. So, the ad's on the screen, right? Now I'm going to talk while you see this ad. So, what I've noticed is that a lot of people would rather body shame fit people than change their own habits, right? Because like I said before, it's easier to get fat than it's easier to get skinny. And unfortunately, because the majority of businesses in the world are money driven, right? They're not looking out for your health. They're money driven. The food industry, money driven. They don't care about what you're eating as long as they profit from it. The health industry tied in with the food industry, right? They want you to eat as much bullshit the food industry makes so that you can hit their doorstep when you get sick from being a fat bitch, right? The medical industry, doctors, all of that stuff, them niggas do not want you well. Who gets paid if everybody is well, right? There's no point for a doctor to exist if nobody gets sick. So what are they going to do? They're going to make sure that you're a returning customer, right? Now you got the clothing industry. So by now you've seen the clip, right? You've seen a torta get on screen and start shaking Jello around like she really put that shit on, right? And I know some of you in the comment sections would absolutely take this down, right? And there's a reason for that. I believe there's a strong reason for that. You see, I believe that men have been programmed biologically to accept being in a state of down bad, right? And let me explain. The reason why I say that I believe men have been programmed to be in a state of down bad or to accept being in a state of down bad is from an evolutionary standpoint, right? I believe that the fact that men there's always going to be some man somewhere that is fully, openly, and readily willing to take down or smash a torta like this is because evolution has designed men to always reproduce, right? And if evolution is designing men to always reproduce, what does that mean? That means that men will have to tolerate or put up with whatever the current state or physique or current form of female that currently exists, right? The human body has the capacity to expand, right? Men can expand, women can expand. So if men weren't able to expand or women were able to expand, we wouldn't be able to get fat, right? But for whatever reason, we can. So the human body has the ability to expand, right? And men have been programmed to reproduce. People like cracking, right? People love to crack. It feels good. There's a reason why it feels good. Because if it felt good, nobody would be cracking, right? And if it didn't feel fun, if it wasn't fun, if it wasn't a dopamine trigger, nobody would do it, right? So men have been programmed, I believe, from an evolutionary standpoint, to always be willing to be in a state of down bad. Because let's look at it. If some catastrophic event happened and chicks like this were the only ones that were left over, I'm pretty sure at some point men would be like, you got to do what you got to do. And actually, I don't really mind it too much because more cushion for the pushing, right? and they would get to clapping pillows, right? Back shots gonna sound like the Atlanta Falcons Stadium when they don't throw a game and actually deliver. The clapping is gonna be out of this world, right? They're gonna be clapping it up. They're gonna be slamming it up. Them torches about to get demolished. So, men have been programmed to evolutionary accept being in a state of down bad, right? Because a lot of dudes that just may not be their first choice. But if that's the only thing that's available, you got to do what you got to do, right? In the reverse, survival of the fittest also exists in this aspect as well, right? Women are the gatekeepers of clapping cheeks. I'm pretty sure some of y'all have heard that phrase before, right? So in the reverse, this may not necessarily be the case, because men may expand and become an inflatable, right? Become a long beer gut having, flapping ass piece of shit. And he could be available with maybe only a couple other dudes. And the women are going to be more than less inclined to reproduce with that guy, right? Survival of the fittest. There's more than likely always going to be a dude that is willing to smash what you just see play on the screen. Then there is going to be a woman to smash the equivalent of the dude. So by default, this is why I believe that men have been programmed to accept being in a state of down bad, right? Because that biological drive says, you know what, I don't care. Looks good enough, I'm cracking. And they're going to slide on that shorty, and they're going to reproduce, to put it simply. Now, what I'm also going to play on the screen while I continue to talk is the same ad, but from a another chick that reposted it on my screen, on my Facebook feed. And what I noticed about this ad is that while there are some baddies and some in-shape chicks in there, the majority of them that they're pushing are big backables, right? So we're going to go ahead and play that while I talk, because like I said, there's no reason for me to dedicate a section of this clip to this bullshit. So, with that being said, with men being willing to accept the state of being down bad, right? Now you got chicks that feel as if, over the years, of course, they have become entitled to now pull and attract the highest caliber man, right? Because this shit wasn't going down like this back in 2016. In 2016, big backs were in my DMs, begging, pleading, crying for a chance for me to even get on the phone with them, to get on a Facebook call, to even get my number, right? To even get a text back on Messenger. The big backs were down bad, right? They took what they could get. They knew when they were punching out of their league. They weren't as delusional as they were today. And they damn sure knew their place. A decade later, you have entitlement out the roof, right? You got BBWs talking about, I need a man that makes six figures. He got to have six pack and he got to be 6 feet. I wasn't hearing none of this a decade ago, right? BBWs understood that more or less they were in a category what you would almost call a fetish, right? Because a lot of the dudes that like BBWs, either they just specifically like BBWs, or two, they're down bad and they can just take anything that they can get, right? There are some BBWs out there with valid face cards, right? And their body is shapely and their body stores the fat in the right places, so they get to skate, they can slide, right? They're able to slide and get by because their genetics are working out for them. But for the most part, a decade ago, this delusional attitude that these BBWs were having was non-existent, right? Over the years, the world has become more anti-body game. Corporations have said, all right, you know what? Like I just said, we're about the money. We're trying to make money here. So what does it eventually mean if the world is becoming more anti-body game every day? People are waking up obese. They're not waking up skinnier. Individuals in positions of power, such as corporate, are fat pieces of shit. The person that is on body game is becoming increasingly rare and rare every day. People that are on body game are getting hated on because they are exceptional. The majority of individuals are not on body game because they can't stop eating. What does that mean? It means that corporations are going to move with an interest of increasing or maintaining the amount of money that they bring in, their revenue. So now they're going to go ahead and start catering to what is the majority. People that are on body game are no longer the majority. The big backs have taken over. The big backs are now the ones that are coming up first in the thought process of companies when they're ready to do a campaign, when they're ready to sell a product, whenever they're ready to start ramping up to make them funds. As a result, that is why you are seeing the ad that you are seeing on my screen right now that I came across on Facebook. People have literally eaten themselves into a place of entitlement, right? And I'm pretty sure there's not going to be any corporations coming out anytime soon that says, we are not going to be making XXL clothing. We are not going to be making clothes for people that are not on body game. You need to lose some weight or be finished. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, don't quote me on this, but I think China only has a certain size. Like, once you get too big in China, you're cooked. You better start making your own clothes or start going outside the trash bag because they're not making clothes for your size. I think, I could be wrong, but I feel like I've seen that shit somewhere. Now, with all of this that's going on, corporations catering to the big backs, people can't stop eating, people that are on body game getting hated for it. What this eventually means is that the big backalypse, right? The big back apocalypse, the big backalypse is pretty much complete. And we didn't even see the shit coming, and shit just happened. Because people don't get big overnight. It's a gradual, slow, but quick process depending on how much of a calorie surplus that they're constantly in, right? And with the way things are going, by 2030, I'm pretty sure there's a reason why they have that specific date as doomsday. By 2030, the majority of women that will be single and childless will probably be big backs, right? Because there's already a demographic of women that aren't getting cracked, believe it or not. Because not the fact that they can't get cracked, but they want to get cracked by dudes that are way too overqualified to be dealing with them, right? So the entitlement and delusionability that you're seeing right now can only exist because corporations and other aspects of the everyday life are catering to the standards that these big backs have developed for themselves. You see the ad that's playing on the screen. There's chicks in there that's fit, but there's more big backs in there than there are chicks that are fit. Most people don't realize that they're becoming a big back until their clothes stop fitting the way they need to fit. And at that point, that's when two roads are chosen. Or two roads are available, but one can be chosen. One road says, wait a minute, I didn't have an issue clasping the button on these pants a couple months ago. My pants don't fit anymore. Here's where the split in the road begins. One individual says, okay, I'm putting a stop to this shit right now today. I'm going to get a gym membership and I'm losing my weight so I can start to fit in these pants again. The other road says, oh, I can't fit these pants anymore. Let me hit up the nearest hey ya girl ass establishment and see what XXXL clothes that they got on sale or got for shopping options. Right? You got individuals that choose to make a change, and you got individuals that choose to keep getting bigger, right? If these corporations never cater to such sizes, people would be forced to choose the other road. Like, look, bro, I got to go lose some weight or I won't go have no clothes to wear. But because there are corporations that say, we got to make money. Money is our top priority. We're making money. Therefore, the money printer will continue as long as the clothes get bigger. Bro, I be seeing people out here in clothes that I'm like, bro, I could dead ass use that as a parachute if I ever fell off of a plane. The clothes are so big, the pants are so huge. I'm pretty sure you could get some solid air resistance using that joint if you're falling at a rapid speed, right? All of this enabling has enabled people to get in the comment section and hate on body game because the world is catering to their bitch ass niggotry. People in corporate feel like oh, I work so hard to be here, and I'm just so important, right? Because I'm important, and yeah, my position means that I am authority. Then you walk in through that door and you're on body game, and all that little trumpeting I'm important shit goes straight out the window. Because it hits different as a CEO. When you're fat as shit with a big ass stomach, and there's a lower level worker standing next to you that's on body game. It don't matter that you're the CEO. Nigga, the physique is getting admired first. Accolades coming later, right? And for a lot of these individuals, they peaked in high school. I made a video before where I said that corporate is full of people that were losers in high school. Corporate is full of individuals that were losers in high school and losers that peaked in high school. Because what I have seen in corporate is a lot of individuals bring that same high school drama bullshit straight off the graduation desk and straight into the office desk, right? People in there gossiping about shit because they ain't got enough work to do. Women in there having conversations about bullshit while they drink their Starbucks coffee, becoming bigger Starbucks as the days go by. Dudes in there talking about who the hottest chick is, yet they don't qualify for the hottest chick. Because every goddamn day they walk into that building, they go to the vending machine, they buy themselves a Monster, and they buy themselves a Little Debbie's Twinkie, and they stand up and eat that shit like it's a ritual. The big backs is getting out of control, and frankly, there's going to be no stop to this shit. The only resistance is the dudes that get in the gym and get on body game that can hopefully inspire some of these big backs. Let me chill out. That can hopefully inspire some of these big backs to unbig their back, right? When I was in corporate, I expected there to be a level of maturity, right? I said, okay, I'm going to be working amongst a bunch of adults, so maybe the childish shit won't exist. I couldn't have been more wrong. Because I'm also starting to notice that it seems to be an issue. The older generation feels as if they're old enough to be your father or mother, the dynamic must operate as such, right? So when you come in there and you're outshining them and you're shitting on them because they're fat as shit and you're on body game, it automatically triggers the hater instinct, and it's got to go into overdrive, right? Because like I said, and like I even showed in a couple of videos in the past, people are not taking advice or really listening to individuals that are not on body game, right? Because if you can't control your life and you can't make sure that you're in the best physique of your possible self, that your possible self can be, why would I take advice from you about anything, right? You can't control your life, so how do I know that the advice you're going to give me is going to help me control anything, right? So a lot of people that aren't on body game are getting disrespected, dismissed by individuals that are on body game, and for good reason. Like I said in another video, it's always a broke nigga trying to tell a nigga that got bitches how he needs to move. Oh wait, no. It's always a broke nigga trying to tell a nigga with riches how he needs to move. It's always a nigga with no bitches telling a nigga that gets hus how he needs to move with the chicks, right? It's always somebody with no profile picture in the comment section and no videos talking about how somebody with a channel and videos needs to move, right? In corporate, it's always individuals that are always qualified, always big as shit, ain't got no authority, don't command no presence outside of the job, that's trying to tell somebody they're in body game how they need to conduct themselves, right? It's insane. And I hope at some point on the timeline of our human existence that survival of the fittest comes back and makes the top. Because I believe there will be an apocalyptic event that occurs on this earth. And when it does, survival of the fittest will rise again to the top. And some of these niggas in corporate are due for a good bitch-ass slapping, right? Because this bitch-ass niggatry that has been enabled has been going on for too long, and some of these niggas need a reality check. The reality check ain't coming because there are laws and regulations in place to help the aggressors, which are the individuals that are not on body game, hit you as they cry out, ah. They're striking you as they cry out, right? They're being the aggressor with that passive-aggressive bullshit. But if you turn around, right, all of a sudden they want you to be the bigger person, even though the biggest person is literally standing in front of you starting all the bullshit, right? Ain't it funny how that works? You're on body game, you're lean, and you're locked in. And this big back gonna come in with this passive-aggressive bullshit and starting all this crap. But as soon as you turn around to handle shit, all of a sudden, they want you, not the individual that eats in a consistent caloric surplus and got 3 goddamn fat flaps in the back of their back looking like some soggy angel wings, right? All of a sudden, they want you to be the bigger person, not the person that is shoveling 3 goddamn hamburgers from Wawa down every goddamn time that they leave the job, right? Funny how that works. So, that's my take on this shit, bro. The world is becoming anti-body game if it ain't already, right? And there is one reason. There is a huge reason that is constantly or currently being suppressed why some of these men feel confident to get into the comment sections and talk their shit about anti-body game, this and that, right? And I'm going to do a video on that real soon. Might even do it tomorrow. There is a reason that it's being suppressed, right? They don't really want this study to be talked about because it completely shatters all credibility that these anti-body game dudes are trying to bring to the table, right? We're going to have a topic. We're going to have a discussion on that. But for the most part, I said my piece, bro. The world is becoming anti-body game. It is in a state of anti-body gameness, right? And there's enablers all over the place. There's these restaurants, the clothing industry, the food industry. All of these things are coming together to make big backs feel comfortable and feel at home, all while digging their grave with a goddamn fork. That's it for the video, gang. I hope y'all stay locked in. And I'm up out of here. Peace.